name is Ingo Köper, and I would like to share with you something that we've done over the last few years, where we looked at creating some opportunities for science students to undertake work-integrated learning. Not in the classical sense, but somehow a bit more creative. So here's one problem that we are facing in science. This graph shows the percentage of full-time employment of students 4 months after graduation. And you can clearly see that the science, the line at the bottom, clearly trails other degrees such as computing, engineering, or even the average over all other disciplines. So in science, that is clearly an issue. There are multiple reasons why this is. One being that science is maybe not directly a vocational area. Right? If you study nursing, you probably become a nurse. And if you study science, it's often unclear where you can go. But still, it's something that we are concerned with. It's something that our university definitely is concerned with. It's something that the government is concerned with. So we thought, well, can we do something about this? So one reason that often comes up when we talk about why isn't the graduate employment higher is that maybe we don't have enough work-integrated learning opportunities.
Will is important because it creates a realistic experience for a student.
Graduate employers are looking for students to come into positions with some prior workplace experience that's relevant to the industry and the occupation that they're going into.
At Flinders, we have a very good track record of work-integrated learning in engineering. So our engineering students take a 20-week placement, which is the longest engineering placement that you can have in Australia, and they all get a job afterwards. In science, we have a few placement options, but it's not really widespread. So what we decided is we'll want to give students an opportunity to experience work-integrated learning. And ideally, we want to make this a core for all science students. Now, I've said here core topic. At Flinders, our units or courses, the 4.5 unit blocks that students take are called topics. So we looked how we could do this. We talked to industry partners. We have an industry advisory board and asked them, so what do you want to see in our graduates? And the list was very long, what they wanted. Interestingly, while content knowledge or discipline knowledge was definitely a required item, there were a lot of other things that were even more important. It's more important that students are flexible, that they can actually use their skills, that they can talk, they can communicate, they know something about the world. We took this on board and thought, okay, we definitely want to embed this into our design of what we're doing. And then came the challenges. So challenge number one is, we want this for all our science students, and we have about up to 100 students a semester that we would be facing. We are all time poor, so it requires a lot of work if you would think of finding placements, supervising placements for about 100 students a semester in science. And the third challenge was, we are in Adelaide. Adelaide is a very nice place to be, especially at the moment. But we don't really have a huge science industry. So would actually be very hard to find placements for all these science students in a somewhat related area to their discipline.
Often will is done through on-site placements. However, in science, things can be a little bit more complicated.
Especially in the general sciences, you need to think of much more innovative ways.
So we had to get creative. We had to create something different, something new. Let me introduce you to Science Connect, our science consulting company. We are running Science Connect as a fictive science consulting companies. I'm the CEO, the students are the employees, and they work on projects. The key is they work on real projects that we get from industry partners from outside or actually inside of the university. One of my colleagues called this micro-will. So it's still work integrated learning, but it's maybe a bit smaller, but it's scalable. And it still provides meaningful outcomes, good outcomes for both students and industry partners.
We've worked with a range of companies. So as you can see from the list here, we've worked with companies from a range of disciplines, and that these companies span from really small companies all the way up to large government department. We asked the partners for small projects that the students can work on throughout the semester. The projects are designed to work with minimal input from the industry partner, which makes this topic really scalable. Some partners choose to touch base just a few times throughout the semester, while others choose to be more hands-on.
One of the advantages of this is that we don't need too many projects. Students will work in group on these. We don't need to secure placement options because the students work on campus in our company. So it is a scalable approach. Just to give you a snapshot of the student profile we had, I'll just have here the profile of the first 2 semesters we ran this. So we run it at the moment every semester. So the first semester 2019 we had quite a diverse group. We can see here we have chemists, we have more forensic scientists, we have more biology students, and in the second semester it was quite different. It was much more biology focused. We had a lot of biotech students in there. Currently, so semester 2 2020, we have probably 75% of students that are more biology focused, and then a few scientists and even a physicist. So it is an interesting challenge to bring all these students together and find placements or projects where they can bring their expertise and make meaningful contributions. So this is roughly how the topic runs. Students are scheduled 4-hour workshops per week, so 1 4-hour workshop. We made that specifically so I didn't have to deal with all the excuses, but I could never meet my group, we never came together. So they have 4 hours a week where we do where they are there, and they can work. Some of the time we use for common activities, so especially in week 1 and 2, it's more teaching that we do. It's more discussions about how to write a CV, how to write an application. We talk about communication, we talk about teamwork and so on, to get them a bit up to speed and ready. And then for the rest of the semester they mainly work on their projects. However, every now and then we sprinkle in a few, we call them professional development sessions, so we bring an industry partner in to talk about things. In week 1, the students have to apply for projects they want to work on. So we present them with a little description of the projects that we have found or that we've agreed on with industry partners, and the students have to write an application. And based on these applications, we put teams together to work on the projects. Most cases, students get the projects that they apply for, but sometimes we have to basically readjust the groups that work on the projects. To get the groups working and start thinking about how they work as a team, we came up with an, I think, very nice activity. So in week 2, we basically announce the teams that work together on the different projects, and then we give them the task to design a logo for our company. Well, they're scientists, we don't expect magic designs, but we expect them to work together to draft something that would represent what Science Connect actually is. And we're very happy with the outcomes that came from this. So we have 4 different logos so far. They're all different. Typically the students do a hand drawing in the beginning, and then I'll send this off to a designer to get a bit of a upscale version of this, and then we use that throughout the semester. After the students have gone through this, we'll actually talk about group work. While they do this, it's often very interesting to observe the groups, how they are working, and then we talk with them about different group strategies, what's happening in group, how to best work in a group, how to make sure that your group is actually functioning. And after that, the groups actually have to write a group contract, how they want to work together, how they are going to assess each other at the end of the semester, because there is a bit of peer evaluation involved. So we make sure there is clear understanding among students how they are expected to work together. We were very fortunate that we could convince our college to invest a bit of money in upgrading one of our teaching spaces. So we have a Science Connect office that is dedicated for this topic, where only the students have access. We put a bit of nice furniture in. It's a very modular space, so we purposely designed it so we can move things around. We can rearrange groups, working spaces. We can turn this around within 5 minutes to become more frontal class. So it's quite a nice space to work in. So once we've established the ground rules, the students basically have 9 to 10 weeks to work on their projects. Feedback from the students and from the industry partners was overwhelmingly positive. There were a few hiccups every now and then, but overall, the topic really runs quite smoothly.
We were given a project, and basically throughout the semester we had to work on that project for that industry connection.
I've been working with a group of students to collate and reinterpret historical groundwater data from the Northern Territory. The students have been great to work with. They were highly engaged and they achieved all of their milestones on time. The work they produced will be used to update the government's digital database of historical groundwater testing records.
How do we know that Science Connect has impact? So we get our students to reflect on various areas throughout the semester. This includes things like some skills that our Science Advisory Board have told us that they're looking for in science graduates, but also how prepared the students feel for life after university and getting that job.
It probably did prepare me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I came out thinking about what are my possibilities with my degrees.
So we ask our students these questions early in the semester, so shown here in red, and also late in the semester after we've completed the topic in blue. You'll see here that we see improvements across the board, which is good for us because we know that we're helping the students, but we can also use this information to retool our efforts in later versions of the topic.
There are also other interesting outcomes from this topic. So last year we worked with a small company here, and I just had a meeting with the team and a student from last semester, and he's looking to do his honours project with the company.
Being a STEM student, you feel like you can't get any kind of placement, and Science Connect gives you that opportunity without being so scary.
So what have we learned from this? We've run the topic now 4 times, so we had really time to evaluate, tweak a few things, but overall it really works. It is manageable, so we can provide some work integrated learning for all our students without the burden of needing to source a lot of placement options. It's quite important to screen the projects beforehand, so it's about managing expectations for the industry partner. There has to be clear communication what we expect from the industry partner, what they can expect from us. We're looking for small projects from them, so they can't expect that we solve all their problems. So managing expectations is key, but we've learned this by now, and it seems to work quite well.
I could see that even though I've got this science degree, I could go in a totally different direction and it still works.
I would 100% do it again.
Absolutely do it. I think it was a really fun experience.
So I hope I could convince you that this is a viable approach to deliver work integrated learning for science students, and I'm happy to hear any of your questions. Thank you.